If your big goal is that lifestyle to grow your business, to impact more people, whatever it is, if that becomes the forefront, then this stuff that happens becomes minimized. Because you have a reason that you're going through this problem. If you don't have a full purpose or a focus on the purpose, then there is no reason to have this problem. It's like if you're in a marriage, if you're fully committed in your marriage and you have a problem, you don't run, you friggin' figure it out, because you have this big vow that you've committed to, even though it could be challenging. That your first intent is not to run, your first intent is to solve the problem.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome to Legacy's Journey, where we talk about creating what outlives you. I'm your host, Cameron Williams, owner of Kinley Consulting, where we focus on strategic financial growth for marketing agencies so that they can live the dream life they deserve and not be a slave to their business. And we do that through CFO services. Now, I told y'all this is season 2 that we were going to go out and find y'all the best people, like the best, not just somebody I know, but the best. This is $1 million agencies right here. We're taking it to another level. And so, I had to put out some feelers, and I had somebody reach out and they were like, hey, if you don't mind, let's rock it. Let's do it. So I'm like, all right, we talked a little bit and I'm like, oh, this is going to be fun. So I'm introducing to you the infamous Gary C.
What's up, Cameron? Good to be here, man. This is going to be fire. Let's do it.
All right, so let's just start with something super easy. Tell them your name, business name, how long you've been in business, and then we'll jump into it.
It's Gary Coxe with an E at the end, Coxe. I'm a business consultant. I basically work with high-level entrepreneurs to show them how to do six-figure salaries or more instead of a year in one event or one day. And I've been doing this, I don't even know how long. I'm over 30 years, I guess, in business. I started my first business at 11, my second at 15. So I've been at it a little while.
Okay. All right. So let's jump into it then. So it's interesting that you say that you started your first business at 11. So what was your relationship with money like growing up? Because we've seen that it's basically two routes, right? There's the person who's like, hey, my parents had plenty, so money was never a struggle. So I never had any bad thoughts or feelings about it. And then there's the people who are like, money was super tight. I knew not to ask my parents, the whole nine. So which category did you fall into?
Kind of maybe in the middle, but at the bottom part. I guess my relationship with money, and I'll maybe get into that later on, because I was born and raised in a cult. So that's a whole nother story for you. So my relationship to money is, rich is not a good word at that time. Wealth is not a good word, and you have to work hard for it. So I'm a firm believer. I don't like to do hard work, but I don't mind working hard for my goals and my dreams.
Gotcha. Okay. Now you say you start the business at 11 and had another one at 15. Do you remember, like, what was your first sale like? Did that first sale make you feel like, I can do this? I don't need no help. This may be my thing. Or was it like,
No, it was a good thing. In fact, I remember, because I was making, when I started my second business at 15, shortly after that, I was making over $100,000 a year. And here's where the pivot point came. I'll never forget this, Cameron. I used to sell jewelry. I was a jeweler. I started my own jewelry business. And in high school back then, and you can still do it today, you can go to work part-time and go to school part-time, right? So I went ahead and I was doing, I wanted to do this work experience program, but I was selling jewelry to the girls in school. And I'll never forget it. I walked in the bathroom stall, and I was so afraid because I had so much money in my pocket. I wanted to count how much. I literally went into the bathroom stall. I'll never forget the color, dark blue bathroom stall. I stood on top of the toilet so nobody could see me, just in case. And I counted $400. And I'm thinking, holy crap, $400 or stay in school. I went to my high school principal. I said, Doc, we called him Doc. This was my end of my junior year. I said, I got a deal for you. I want to quit school. I know it's not the right thing to do. Here's my proposal. For my senior year, I don't want to show up in school. I want to run my own business. Here's what I'm doing. I showed it to him. And I never want to show up in school, but I want to end up with my diploma. He thought about it for 10 seconds, Cameron, and he said, go for it. So I never, for my senior year, never showed up in school. That $400 was a pivotal change of my life. And I'm happy to say it's not always what you know, but who you know. So I gave myself a 4.0 average because I had to grade myself because I was my supervisor. So there you have it.
Oh man, I have never heard this before. Okay, so you were making at 11. You were making
No,
$100,000.
I was doing that at about 17. So I started my first business at 11, second at 15. Then I made the transition. I said, screw school. And then shortly after that was making it. So I started doing wholesale jewelry. So here I am at 15, 16, 17 years old. I was literally doing the wholesale jewelry repair for your Gordon's jewelry stores, Zales, J.C. Penney's. I was so young, my mom would have to drive me to these stores. I convinced these managers to let me repair their jewelry. Yeah, it was a great gig for me.
That's man. I'm just literally trying to think of like when I was 17. Had I had
Right?
$100,000, like oh my! Had I had $400, I probably would have thought I was rich at 17. Man.
Yeah,
Okay.
well,
Okay.
I looked at that $400 and it was a game changer, and I'm just doing this off of the girls in school, right? Selling some jewelry, and yeah, it was definitely a game changer for me. It made a massive pivot in my entrepreneurial career, and I have not looked back since.
Okay. Okay. So then, haven't looked back since. Now let's go to the other side. Your biggest sale today, and that's between however many businesses. How did it? And you don't have to tell us the number unless you want to. But how did it make you feel? What was the sense of accomplishment like? Like, did you do something to celebrate? What was that like?
Yeah, I'll tell you. About 25 years ago, my biggest sale I made was I was speaking because I've been speaking and coaching and training. I did right under 50K. I did $47,000 after an hour and 15-minute speaking engagement. And what a game changer. I'll never forget it. I was in Vegas. I work really hard at what I do. So I work hard at my craft. And yeah, that was a game changer. And the next one I remember was I have a jet program, Cameron, where I take my coaching clients and I take them with me in the jet to the Bahamas to Sandals Resorts for the day. Sandals is my sponsor. And I remember because I do a lot with TV and media and so forth. So I said, okay, I'm going to go out on a really high end magazine and see if I can get some business. I'll give it a try. And I put, the guy says, well, for me to do a story on you, I got to come in your jet and check it out. I'm thinking, okay, you're just saying that to get on the jet, but he wanted to do a story. So that was legit. He did a story, and I got two phone calls off of it. One was a no go. The other one was yes. And at that time, that was nearly 30 years ago, I guess, right at a little bit less than that. And that guy gave me a credit card over the phone for $15,000. I about like I said, it works. It works. Oh my God. And I have that program to this very day. I've been doing that for 30 years, taking people to the Caribbean for a full day mastermind. So yeah, when you make money like that, it can make a pivotal change because you can't go back to the little stuff, and you also have to believe that the big stuff is really out there. And that's now to me, that's little money. So that's not a bragging thing, but that's a good thing to demonstrate how the mind has expanded, right?
There you go. There you go. Abundance. Abundance.
Oh,
Okay.
absolutely.
I have like five questions at once. Okay. All right, let's back up some. I think we may have skipped the part because the audience might be like, who is this guy? Okay. Tell them not only the business, but what do you help your clients do? I think we may have skipped that part.
All right. So ultimately, I will take authors, coaches, speakers, high end business people, and I show them marketing strategies to compress what they're making in a year, literally be able to do it in one day or in one event. And it's like, and I talk about how people can get to the next level faster. Like if you and I were
Mhm.
on a race and I said, okay, we're going to go for a mile. All right. I got a
Mhm.
bicycle and you got a helicopter, same distance, same mile. Who's going to get there quicker? You are. So we get there. I finally meet up to you after you get there way faster than me. I say, okay, let me take the helicopter. We're going to go 100 miles, but this time you take the jet. Who's going to get there faster? You are. And I'm always obsessed with there is a smarter way. There's always a smarter way. And whatever I'm doing now, I believe there's even yet a smarter way. And then when I get to that way, there's yet a smarter way. I was very blessed to be mentored by a billionaire and two millionaires when I was younger. So man, I got exposure of that most people that average will just absolutely never get. And I got to not just hear how it's done, but I got to sit with them and watch them run multi-billion-dollar companies. So that was a game changer for me.
All right, it's time for me to start taking notes because I'm gonna start forgetting all my
All
stuff.
right, let's
Okay.
roll. Let's go with the notes.
All right. So now we're on the billionaire and the two millionaires. What types of valuable information do you think they gave you then that it's still applicable or that you're still using now? Because to your point, I remember, was it last year? No, 2022. I had the
Yeah,
opportunity to talk to a millionaire for an hour. And I
yeah,
was just like, how did you even think about that? Or where did you get that from? Or
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's possible. So, what are some of those things that they share with you that you're like, I can implement that and that you have been?
I think the biggest thing is lifestyle. Watching my billionaire mentor, I remember he invited me. He passed, unfortunately, 3 years ago, a couple days ago. Excuse me. We were very close. Anyway, so he invited me to the Cayman Islands, and so I live a mile here from the airport, and as you will figure out sooner or later, I'm an avid aviation fan. I fly all this crazy stuff. So I flew my plane, went to the Cayman Islands, and I spent 4 days with him. And there's a couple myths, and I hope I'm not stepping on anybody's shoes to offend them. But you hear things about successful people don't watch TV. Successful people get up at 4 a.m. So much of
Right.
this stuff that we hear is absolute bullcrap. Now, I typically get up at 4 a.m., but it's not when you get up; it's how much time you put in. He gets up at about 8 a.m. because he wraps his day up at 1 a.m. I wrap up my day a lot earlier than that. The other thing, he has everybody do everything for him. Now he can afford to. So with that being said, what is it? See, the average person, the average entrepreneur, they wear so many hats, and the problem with this is they get so programmed into wearing so many hats because they have one major stupid belief that says if you want it done right, do it yourself. Well, he owned 20 hotels. Now, if he wanted it done right, he has other people do it, knowing some of them are just going to friggin' screw up. So you have to learn to let go. So what you need to do is you have to have a clear, big vision for your business, and it should include lifestyle. So which means when you get to another level financially, you take that income and you buy somebody to take off a hat. So now you have a better lifestyle. So every move I make is always designed make my next chess move to take off another hat until I'm only wearing the hats that I love to wear, not only love, but I'm really, really good at wearing. I hate managing people. That's just not my thing. I know that. So I want to implement other people to do that. I love marketing and marketing strategies. That's where I want to stay in. I love entertaining my guests in I pick him up in a helicopter, take him in the jet. So he knows what he's good at, and he does not lift a finger because he has other people do it for him. So I encourage people to do that. And what happens is when you're young as an entrepreneur, you could be 50 and young and just get started, you have typically more time than you do money, Cameron, as we all know. And what happens is if you're not careful, you'll develop a lot of really bad habits because you're doing so much, which you have no choice to do. You have no choice if you want success, but you're creating bad habits, which means you're doing everything and you're a lot better at everything because you've been doing it longer than when you bring somebody, you micromanage them. And if you're the micromanaging type, then you end up hiring people that need micromanaging and you're still wearing the hats. You're just giving them back, taking them back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And you're really not getting to the next level. But if you ultimately think about lifestyle, what are the changes that I can make consistently to have a better lifestyle? Then define what a better lifestyle is. I mean, most people pump their gas. Why not have somebody do it for you? Just little things like that. Like you go and get your haircut. Why not have somebody get to the level where you can pay somebody to come to you on a regular basis? It will save you and buy you time. The reason I spend money flying helicopters and jets and airplanes is because I've created the value in my time that it's more valuable for me to spend $3,000 an hour on a jet and use that time and buy that time. So that's what I learned, and that's how I live my life.
Man. Okay. I got like 4 notes. You have to learn to let go, is one of the things you
You
said.
got And
All the
learn
way.
to let go. Let me interrupt you if you don't mind. Learn to let go knowing that mistakes are going to be made. Can I give you one example?
Yeah, because I mean, I'm at this stage because it's challenging. Because I'm like,
Oh,
please do it right. Please do it right.
no doubt. So I'll give you an example. I'll never forget this. I had an airplane and I had a young gentleman who was co-piloting with me. And typically when I land the airplane, Cameron, I always am involved in putting the airplane in the hangar and managing that because obviously, you got to make sure the wing goes in and hit something. So I remember consciously, intentionally saying, "Okay, this is the day that one of my millionaire mentors. He really made an emphasis to me to you just got to let go. Just let other people do things." So I said consciously, "Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to let you just put the airplane in, and I'm going to go to the office." So that bought me 15 minutes. I get a phone call 15 minutes later. Gary, I just run the tug into the nose of the airplane. Now, I really wasn't that upset. And the reason being is no, I really wasn't. I knew. In fact, I just had on another airplane of mine just 2 months ago, somebody ran the airplane into the hangar, the tail of the airplane. That was $15,000. I never got upset because I understand that for me to get to the next level, my time is so valuable. I have no choice but to let go. Well, I do have a choice, but I choose to let go, knowing that mistakes are going to be made. And when he told me about it, I was bothered by it, but I didn't chew him out. I didn't cuss. It's just part of the process. And when you get to that point, what happens is more problems will happen. You'll make more money, but with the right mindset, you will deal with it so much better. So I get that. I just got a phone call right now. I have a trip. I got to go take my clients to the Bahamas on Monday. I just got a text right before you and I started chatting saying the airplane I needed to go down is no longer available. That's a big problem. So now I've got, but here's my mindset. My mindset is, what if something better comes along that I'm not even aware of? That's where I'm at right now. So when I'm finished our conversation, I have to be driven somewhere, and then I'm going to be, solving problems with somebody on my team.
Mm. It's so much in that, man.
There really is, and you just the biggest takeaway I think, Cameron, is when you let go, no crap's going to happen. It's
But
reality.
okay, wait. But okay, you're right. Because I've experienced this. Because I got a team, so I get it. They're not going to do it the way you would do it. But how do you maybe reconcile, like, Cameron? They're gonna make the wrong journal entry, or they're gonna forget to do whatever. You're
Right?
saying the mindset should be,
The mindset should be make sure you have SOPs, standard operating procedures, to minimize that as much as possible. And then the ultimate mindset is what is your big goal? If you forget your big goal, then this problem will be bigger because you don't have that big goal. If your big goal is that lifestyle to grow your business, to impact more people, whatever it is, if that becomes the forefront, then this stuff that happens becomes minimized because you have a reason that you're going through this problem. If you don't have a full purpose or a focus on the purpose, then there is no reason to have this problem. It's like if you're in a marriage, if you're fully committed in your marriage and you have a problem, you don't run, you friggin' figure it out because you have this big vow that you've committed to, even though it could be challenging. You don't, that your first intent is not to run, your first intent is to solve the problem.
that's good. I'm really thinking now. Because to your, okay, in other words, it's about the bigger picture. If the bigger picture is I need to go out here and grow so that I can help more people, well, teamwork.
Absolutely.
Okay, wait. So you have
100%. But
more.
the moment you start forgetting that, then it's not willing to pay. You're not willing to, you won't at the moment be as willing to pay the price for those problems.
Okay, wait. You're not gonna. Right, because you're getting distracted by the little thing.
100%. Then they're no longer little if it's on the big picture, right?
Mm, this is so. Me and my wife are kind of talking about this in regards to parenting. So this is a very applicable skill. Okay,
For
wait. Let's
sure.
keep going. You said you have to have a clear vision. We just talked about that. Another thing you said was, "This is not my thing." You said, I know I like to do the marketing strategies. I hate managing people." How crucial is it to be self-aware to be able to even get to that statement?
It's everything. I mean, I tell my people, some of them, there's some people that I have to manage in my team. I say, this is just not my thing until we transfer. We have an acting CEO right now, right? But I mean, without awareness, you cannot interrupt the problem. So here's what awareness is. Awareness is, here's a situation, and then now the awareness causes you to interrupt the problem to figure out how you want to respond. Without awareness, you have a situation, then you respond. With awareness, you have a situation. You're allowed now a pause to figure out what the response will be. That's what awareness will give you.
This is so good. Okay, I'm sorry. You know how you can be a fan when you listening to people and you like, dang,
Yes.
they killing it right now. Okay, let's stay
Yeah,
focused.
it's
All
not
right,
my first rodeo, is it, baby?
I'm like, this is so good because I think right, like to backtrack some to
Yeah.
your point, you start with like I use myself, right? So I started this five
Okay.
and a half years ago. And like you said, I gotta do the marketing, the sales, the
Yeah.
HR, I gotta
I,
fulfill the actual service. I gotta
sure.
go, set up the billing and the tech. And like you
Yeah.
said,
Yeah.
as you continue to grow, it's hard to let go because, like you said, you start with the bad habit of doing it all.
Sure.
So letting it go is painful because you're like, if I let you do this, are you gonna be able to complete it the same way?
And watch this. If you're not careful without the right mindset and they screw up, your brain will validate that move that you made was not a good move. See, I told you so. I knew they would screw up. So what do you do now? Now you stay there even longer.
Versus, you should be focused on the outcome. Because have you read Clockwork by Mike Michalowicz?
Have not.
Basically, in so many words, you teach your team to focus on the outcomes, not a task list. If the name of the game is finish the project, you need to do whatever you need to do to finish the project, not come to
Yes.
me, hey, I reconciled the books. What do I do now? Hey, I hit the save button. It's two different
Right.
modes. And like you said, you got to be okay with that 80-20 principle. It's going to be done 80% of
100%.
the way. See?
I'm obsessed with that rule.
But it's so hard. And I wonder what does that say from a psychological standpoint to your point? Like if you can't let it go that this person made a mistake or they're not doing it up to your standard, I just wonder what does that really say? Like, is that related to something that happened or that's a different combo? But
It is, and we could have that conversation later, but 100%. 100%.
okay. I want to stick here with these mentors. How important do you think that mentorship at a level higher than you? Not like I've been in business for 5 years, let me go find somebody else at 5 years, but somebody who's way
Yeah.
ahead. What is
Yeah.
the importance of that for the marketing agency or that newer owner that's under 10 years, still scaling, but what is the
Yeah.
importance of that?
You know, you're stupid not to do it. Proximity is power. There's no question about it. Your network is your net worth. I was talking to a new friend, if you will, of mine, and I was talking to him about numbers, and he's looking at me like his mouth is hanging out. And I said to him, the people I hang around with, when we talk 50 million, we talk 100 million, it's no big deal. And your mouth is hanging over at 120,000. So what happens is when you hang around people like that, some of this stuff, if you start thinking $1 million is a big thing, you want to think $1 million is not a big thing. It's 20 customers at 50 grand a head. That's what $1 million is. It's a $20 book sold 50,000 times, and there's 8 billion people on this planet. So when you're around people like this, look, here's the thing: we're the sum total of everything that we've ever experienced from the day that we were born to this very moment.
Mm-hmm.
And some of that recording is not good. And we all have the recording, and we have the power to choose which recording. But what happens is if your recording is not correct, even though you could be doing well, when you hang around the right people, it helps stop and interrupt some of that recording, which is very important. Now, here's another caution, though, very huge caution. Just because somebody makes more than you do, that does not make them smarter than you are.
Oh,
Because
wow.
if you if you and I decide that we're going to go to the gym and we see the muscle guy that he's got muscles 3 times bigger than us. No, he got 10 times bigger than us. The first thing that we're going to do is we want to go to him for advice, right? It only makes sense. I want muscles to look, I want a muscle like that. How do you do it? But he tells us his exercise, but we forgot to find out that he takes steroids. He's doing illegal steroids, and then he goes to the gym 7 days a week. He can't have a relationship because he won't stay home. So these are the things that you're comparing yourself to. My billionaire mentor, I have zero desire to be a billionaire because I've hung around enough of them, because I am not willing to pay the price. Now, if I can figure out how not to pay the price, it might take me longer. I'm okay with it. I'm not willing. If you knew the stories that I knew with my billionaire friends, it's like, holy moly, how do you deal with all that? I know things that go on in their lives that the average entrepreneur literally, beyond a shadow of a doubt, would commit suicide. But they can handle so much. But again, Warren Buffett. I admire Warren Buffett. But if you Google it, it's nothing secretive. He's had a mistress for years. Now, if you're okay with having a mistress and your wife is okay with it too, and you want to have more success and be with your mistress while you're traveling to Japan for a month, and that works for you, it works for you. I know if I was in a relationship with my wife, it wouldn't be working for her. So this is where you got to use common sense. I take advice. I have an advisor right now who's my advisor, who was the same advisor for my billionaire mentor. I hear what he says. I've been blessed that God gave me enough common sense to listen to the part I know works and should work and not listen to the other parts. My billionaire mentor, there's parts I will listen to and there's parts I will not listen to. You are a sheep if you think you should listen to every single thing your mentor should say. Now, I will tell you a lot of things. If you have a good mentor, they're going to tell you things that are counterintuitive that you should listen to. But when it breaks your moral compass and your values and belief compass, then you need to make some adjustments. So you might have a strategy that says to do this and this, but that strategy says, I'm going to be away from my family for the next 7 months. Do you want to do that or not? So this is where you have to line this thing up, and then you have to make the decisions using them as a bouncing board and a soundboard as well. So I call it UCS, use common sense.
I'm still stuck. I guess you don't hear people say like, "Oh, I would never try to be a billionaire," because everybody, for the love of money, oh yeah, look, I want to make as much as I can. But I think that's a very solid point of, do you want to pay that cost though?
See, here's the thing. A lot of people try to make money for the sake of making money. And what happens sooner or later, you'll get burnout, or you'll lose your purpose, or your customers will figure it out really quickly. So how do you tell the difference between an entrepreneur or a business or an entity that's more so important for your money than you as a customer? Here's the measuring rod right here. You will find that when somebody wants your business, they're really proactive at getting in touch with you and reaching out. But once they get your money, what happens thereafter when there's a problem or a question? Are they that proactive? They're not that proactive. Most of them are not.
Okay, while you're figuring that out, I got plenty of notes to review just because you said that. All right. He said, without awareness, you can't interrupt the problem. And I think that's super important, because if you don't even know what it is to fix, then there's no way that you can understand what to get better, what to improve, what to even spend time to work on. He said your network is your net worth, aka the people that you have around you are always the ones that will influence you, and you'll learn through osmosis. So I think that's super crucial to talk about. He also is getting into that we should be as proactive and as excited and all that follow up that you get into when you're trying to sign the client. You better have that same energy once you do sign them. Don't just treat them like money, because the client can tell that. So if it's your mission or your values to serve, then make sure you're serving nonstop throughout the process, not just to get them signed, but after you sign them, what are you going to do then? Are you just going to kick them to the curb because we got the money now? Or are you going to have that same energy in order to be able to do that?
You got me now?
There we go. All right. You were at swarm them.
I think it had a bad battery. All right, swarm them. 2 bad batteries. All right. Yeah, swarm them. So what that means is, as you were just saying, it means to have the mentality and the attitude. Like, if you truly care about your customers and your clients, you are going to reach out to them as opposed to delay. So when we have a situation where a client has a question, I'm trying to adjust you here on my computer screen so I can see you okay. So when we have a client with a question, we just try to do whatever we can to swarm them and get it solved. That doesn't mean they're always right, because the customer is not always right. They're always king, but they're not always right.
Thanks. Okay, wait. So do you think that you can take that same approach at scale though? Because you can do that when you got 20 clients. Can you do that when you have 100 or 500?
He has 15,000 employees. You can scale it. It's scaled in the training.
So you're talking now getting into culture.
Oh, that's exactly what it is. That you couldn't have picked a smarter word. So then, if you're hiring people that aren't in tune and naturally happy and like to care for people and to serve them and nurturing, and they don't get that mindset, you may. And if that's the position that you're wanting them to be in, you better find somebody else. I just recently got rid of a person last year because they're just rude. And I was afraid. If you're afraid to have them talk to a customer, you better make sure they never talk to a customer, and you put them into the bean counting department or whatever department you want to keep them in, but don't have them touch a customer.
This is so good. I don't know about y'all, but I got a bunch of notes. So this is great. Okay, you're talking about team now. So of course, in your world, now you're doing over 1 million, right? So how have you grown your team over time to do these things you're saying, to be able to swarm and provide that great service so that it's not all on you and you can continue to scale and stay true to those goals?
You got to hire the right people. And you have to really take the time to hire the right people. You got to scout the right people. The interview process needs to take a while. It shouldn't be, oh yeah, I like you, let's do this. You know, if you're just doing an interview once or twice with somebody, forget it. I mean, I look at it at dating. You know, I'm not going to ask you to marry me on the first date. Let me get to know you a little bit. Are you on time? When you say you do things, do you do them? Can I maybe pay you for a day just to give you a shot? Just to see how we work. I may like you, but you may not like me. It's not just about me. You may not like the whole company. You may not like some of the people. So when we start bringing somebody on, not that it matters. Everybody doesn't have to like everybody, but we'd like them to. But when you get bigger, that's not going to happen. But if you're smaller, get people to meet each other and see what they think about the person and so on. And let the other people that you're thinking about bringing them on, let them see what kind of culture you are, what kind of culture you have. Let them see your other people.
Do you think you can do that nowadays with us being mainly virtual? Because a lot of people aren't in the same office building. A lot of teams are virtual now.
Oh yeah. Yeah, one of my pet peeves is, I want you to be on time. If you're on time, you're late, right? My time is really, 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 really valuable. So if you tell me you're going to email me by the end of the day, and the end of the day comes and it's 2 days later, you're not emailing me, I might be a red flag. If you say that you're going to create a design and it's going to be available at a certain time and it's not, are you going to be able to meet my deadlines? So there's certain things. I have a litmus test. It's like if you go out on a date, whether you realize it or not, I'm putting them through hoops. I'm purposely doing things to see how they respond.
Okay, and mind you, how many team members do you have?
I am very small. We vary between 5 and 6.
Okay, so he's telling
you. But keep in mind, Warren Buffett only has 21-ish. Just get good people.
You don't have to have a huge amount, but if you have great team members, that can take the place of 2, 3, 4 employees just because they're great at what they do. Okay.
And some we have that would be full-time, and some we have contracted. So it just depends on what your needs are. And then you take those contracted ones and bring them in full-time.
Okay. I like this. Treat it like a date, multiple touch points, put them in scenarios to see what they're really made of. I agree. I feel it.
I remember one day I did a speaking engagement in, I think it was Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I think it was Baton Rouge. And a guy was, checking in for a job with us to work with us. And he was like 30 minutes late the first day. And I'm getting ready to go on stage soon.
Wait,
and I'm thinking the first day, I was like, and then he was bothered by me because he thought I was a little too strict. Okay, bye. I didn't even have time for that. Here's the thing. I don't mind problems. They're going to happen. But when it's like when you go to Disney or you go to a play on Broadway, the time to make mistakes is during the rehearsals, not when the curtain opens. That's not the time for the mistakes. So I let my people know, look, I'm not into good. I'm not into great. I'm into excellence. I'm not a perfectionist, because a perfectionist, there's two types of perfectionists, one with an attitude, one without an attitude. One without an attitude is, we missed the mark, let's do better next time, but make sure we implement some plan to do better next time. All right? Then you're not all pissed off about it. But when the curtain opens, everybody's standards needs to understand the show is on. And the time to make mistakes is not now. So we have a program like with our JET program, when we take our clients to the Bahamas, we have a debrief list. Every mistake that was made throughout the day is noted. And then before we go on our next mastermind, we all go through the debriefing list that we did, all the mistakes that were made last time, so we don't repeat the mistakes again. And we actually have a list. It's called, we get that from aviation, because after you do a flight training, you debrief and say, hey, what we did wrong, what we did right, what we could do better. So we have a debrief list after each event. And we got it down to a science because of that.
I hope y'all are catching this, because it's just so much goodness here. All right, let's keep talking about money, because that's what we're focusing on. Earlier, you said that, or we know that money is important. So how is your current CFO or accountant helping you to grow your business? Like, are there some cool things they may be doing or suggesting to help you to continue to stay on that path that you were referring to?
To be frank with you, no. They don't give me a tremendous amount of advice, because I've been in this so much, and I have other people I get my advice from, if you will. I definitely listen to their advice. More than anything, they just take so much off of my plate. Like I was sharing with you earlier, before we started this, I have somebody that's so good that I might, and I'm not exaggerating, I'm pushing it if I maybe take an hour for the entire month on my books. I mean, I barely lift a finger. I got a letter from the IRS. I don't even look at it. I say, this is too much for me. I just give it to her. And she just sends me, no actions needed. Here's a Cliff Notes. It took me 10 seconds to read the email this morning, literally 10 seconds. So my whole, and the reason is, and I think for people in your industry, they need to know how to close their clients better, because the average entrepreneur are either doing their own books, or they have a family member or a really, really close friend doing it, because of one word, trust. Now, that doesn't mean they're any good at it. They just trust them. So sometimes they'd rather trust somebody who does a crappy job, and then they find out, oh my God, I owe all this money to the IRS, or all this is not happening, whatever. With that being said, encourage your clients to learn to let go, and hopefully they're hiring you then, right? That you can be an oasis in a desert full of water of trust, because that is not what their skills should be. No entrepreneur, unless they're doing books or accountant or CPA, that should not be their strength. That just should not be their strength. And I don't waste time looking at that. Once I figured out I got somebody that I can trust, and I managed just for a couple months or so, now I don't do a thing.
Okay, y'all see, when I say it, it's
right.
Man, you heard it from y'all heard it here. Okay, now let's do this. Not so favorite accounting or tax horror story.
Oh man. Years ago, I was scared to look at the IRS paperwork, so now I give it to somebody, and then I pay the consequences. We really do some stupid things sometimes. When business is not going good, we don't want to look at our bank account. Like, that's supposed to make it better, right?
That's fair. Yeah, those IRS letters get everybody scared, and they're like, Cam, what is this? All right, here you go, slightly different. What has been your best investment today? And that can be a thing, it could be an experience. What would you say, like, your best investment has been so far as a business owner?
Two things. One, myself. I read 2 to 4 books every single month. And then my other investment is aviation. I spend a stupid amount of money in aviation, but I'll give you an example. Sunday, I'll take the helicopter, and I did it. I'm doing it at no charge. I'm taking 8 of my clients and flying them over the beach in the helicopter. It is one of the greatest investment PR tools. I've spent a ridiculous amount of money on it. It is what it is. I learned that from Adnan Khashoggi 30 years ago. That's when I started getting my helicopter license. Adnan Khashoggi used to be one of the wealthiest men in the world at the time. And he told a story about his dad who was standing over a marble floor, and he said to his son, you can spend money 2 ways. You can spend it quietly, or you can spend it with a bang. And he dropped a coin on the marble floor, and you could hear the coin. So at that point, I didn't have the money, but I took my credit cards. Here you go. I have credit cards literally are 30 years old. I would take my credit cards, and I went ahead and started my pilot's license as a helicopter pilot, and it's paid off today. But yeah, these are literally, I use this as a souvenir to remind myself. Here's a March 1995. Here's a 96. Anyway, I believe in investing. But those credit cards are never used for anything personal. Only business, because I got to get a return.
Okay, go there real quick. Because some people, like we have some clients, and I had to have this conversation with them, where they're like, we don't want any debt. We just want to do our best to stay just cash only. And I was like, I get that in theory. But in reality, though, I'm going to let you take it from here because I see the difference.
Find me a billionaire that is not using or leveraging debt. Why would you not? I'll give you an example. If I said to you,
debt is me having a credit card and owning Amex or Discover or whoever, that's a bad thing because now when I get paid, it's not really my money because now I got to go pay you back.
All right, let me show you something real quick. Here's an illustration for you. Hold on super fast. I'm going to show you my American Express.
Are you about to show us your balance?
I'm going to show it to you. Hold on.
Oh, snap. I don't think this has ever been done before. Now, I want y'all to know what he just said. Name a billionaire. He probably can say millionaire too. That doesn't leverage, not use, but leverage debt to grow or scale their business. I just want to throw that out there in case y'all missed it. And that's not this, I think, to your point, right? And going back to like when we were talking about how do we view money as a kid, you think of debt as bad, terrible, evil. I don't want to owe anybody. And he's showing.
Okay, here's mine. This is a small one. Can you read that? Okay. 34,000.
Okay.
That's my bill this month. I have no idea what my interest rate is. I don't really care. I know it's loan sharking probably between 20 and 27, right? But here's the thing. If I make 200% on that investment or 70% on that investment, I'm okay paying 20%. If I said to you, look, I got a $100 bill, right? And if you give me $10, I'll give you that $100 bill. That's a pretty good investment, right? But let's say you don't have $10. So you go to your friend and say, hey, man, loan me $10. He says, I'll loan you $10, but I want to charge you 100%. Is that still a good deal? Sure it is. You're paying him 100%. I'm giving you $80. You're going to make $80. So you're still getting an 80% return on your investment. But you're paying 100% to your buddy who's going to loan you $10, and you're going to pay him back another $10. So, now if I'm using this to go buy, clothes and go out and eat, and it's not business related, then that's pretty stupid.
So really what you're talking about is the perception of how we utilize or leverage the debt is the problem.
Sure. Like, are you the type of person that will wants to pay the toll for the toll, or do you go around? I'll pay for the toll because my time is more valuable going through the toll than wasting my time trying to figure out because I'm going to save $1.52 or something like that and drive around and waste more time figuring out where I'm going. I'm going on the toll, baby. I'm gonna spend $3,000 an hour for the jet, baby, because my time is that valuable.
Because in your world, I'm spending $3,000 for this hour, but in that same hour, I made 40 grand.
Exactly. But here's the thing. If you're not at that level, and a lot of people aren't, you're at the level where you can pay the toll, can't you? Pay the $2 for the toll. Get the mindset going that you would rather pay the $2, and not spend and waste your time going around in traffic.
I hope y'all heard that because I know for a fact that some agencies out here, I ain't naming no name, I ain't calling nobody, I'm just saying, Cash only. In theory, I get it. If I got it, then I'm gonna spend it. If I don't, I won't. But to get to that level, he's already telling you, you gotta leverage that debt. Okay, let's go rapid fire with these. As we wrap up, what are some things that you do to connect with the fam during the week or throughout the month? Because, like you were saying, you're not the type where I just want to work nonstop 24/7. I do want to be able to enjoy some of that family time and things of that nature. So, what do you guys do? Like, I know with us, every Saturday is Pancake Day, for example. Is there
Oh,
something
that's
that
awesome.
you guys look forward to?
I again, big aviation fan. It's waste to have an empty seat in a jet or a helicopter. So I'm always going somewhere where I'm always inviting somebody to fly with me somewhere. So that's my big thing. That's my big thing. I love I I will spend money on jet fuel all day long over buying a gift because I'm just really big into memories and experiences.
I think I need to introduce you to Travis because he's an aviation guy too. All right. What would you go back and tell your high school self or college self knowing everything you know today? So you've lived the same life, but like you got 5 minutes to go back in time. What would you tell them?
For me, it'd probably enjoy the process more. Just enjoy it more
Ooh.
because we get so wrapped up in the immediate issues and we forget that it's a journey. It will always be a journey. It won't end. It'll always be a journey. And if you don't get that, then you hyper focus on the problems. And that's easy to do, right? Because it's just part of being human. So if you have a big picture, a big vision, and when you're 20 years old, you can't see any more than 7 years later, right? Yeah, when you're 5 years old, you can barely see next week, right? When you're 50, you can see 75. When you're 80, you can see, well, I think I'm going to die, right? So the older you get, the further out you can see. So I wish I was able to see further out when I was younger. If I could have seen, because when you're 20, you can't conceive you're going to be 60 one day or 70. You can't even get your head around that. But if I could have, I'd have played the game probably a little differently.
That's good. Okay. What are two or three things that you would contribute to your success? It may be, I don't know, sauna, gym, read. I know you mentioned you read 2 to 4 books. Like, if I don't do these two or three things, may be a hard day today.
Uh, from a from a personal issue,
Sure. Hey, this is your
yeah,
episode.
for me, people, I recently had an ex girlfriend. She says you have to be on cocaine. She says you have to be, and I'm originally born and raised in Jamaica, so people that know that think I've never done a drug in my life. My mindset is so wired, and the diet that I have is crazy. My diet is so wired and set up to have me to perform at a level that most people don't think is human. Like, for example, I got 2 capsules of cayenne pepper down this morning, protein shake, sea moss. Protein shake is pretty much vegan. Most of my diet is vegan. I get up in the morning like a horse out of a gate. I go to bed. I don't need drugs. I get high on my own supply, and that makes a difference in my life. I can accomplish more. I can do more faster and quicker. I'll outrun an 18-year all day long every day. Diet and mindset.
Shout out to being vegan. Shout out to sea moss. I ain't gonna say that one. All right. Now, this is a fun one. How has your definition of success changed from when you started? So maybe the 11-year-old business, 15-year-old, 17-year-old business, to now having all the experience you have? Because I know for me, it was, we just got to pay the bills. Like, we're
Yeah.
starting a business, pay the bills, get to zero. Versus now it's more about, I want to invest more experiences into the kids and make sure they can enjoy some of the
Right.
stuff they didn't have.
Yeah, it's an unusual question for me because when I was in the cult, their definition of success was a little different because the end of the world is tomorrow, so there is really no definition. My definition now is that I just do what I want when I want, but more importantly, I'm obsessed with giving more because I've had people help me in the past. So I'm obsessed with I like making major differences in people's lives that I get connected to. That's a big thing for me.
Whew. All right, this is the end of the episode. This was a lot of goodness. All right, this is your time right here. Tell us again. Who do you work with? How can they reach you? How can they get in touch with you? Where can they connect with you or get in contact with you? This is your space to do all of that. So you got the floor.
I appreciate that. They can go to GaryCoxe.com, COXE, GaryCoxe.com. That's also my IG handle. Myself and my team are very active on Instagram, also YouTube, but Instagram heavily active. And you can go there and request if you want to get a link. Maybe I can give that link to you where you can show it if you wish. If you want to be a part and get on one of my online programs where we show you how to do this 6 figures, in one day or one event, that's something you can participate as well. We have one coming up. Well, we try to do it once a month. But yeah, that's it in a nutshell.
All right, y'all heard it. And before we go, I'm going to try to recap this amazing episode. You have to learn to let go and stay focused on the bigger picture. You have to have a clear vision for where you're going. You have to realize that some stuff is like, this is just not my thing. And I'm going to give that to a well-established and vetted team member. Without awareness, you can't interrupt the problem. Your network is your net worth. Whenever there's a client problem, you need to swarm them with the same energy and enthusiasm as when you were trying to sign them before. And mentorship is super important so that you can learn by osmosis. But as my godmom would say, you eat the meat, spit out the bones. And y'all just need to listen to the whole episode. Let's just say that way. Just the whole episode, listen to it again. Make sure you share this with somebody, tag somebody who you think could just gain something from this elevated perspective. So, Gary, thank you so much for coming on here. I cannot wait for this episode to air. Any last words you want to say to the people?
No, just stay at it. My motto: never give up, never give up, never give up. And Cameron, thank you for blessing me for the opportunity to be in front of your audience.
All right, y'all. This is another episode. We told y'all, season 2, we're gonna go get the best people like Gary, who they're not talking theory, they're talking about what they've done, what they're doing, and how they've done it with the spirit of excellence. So until the next episode, we will talk to you guys soon. Take care of yourselves. Peace.